Welcome back. It is Wednesday afternoon. We're going to review some trades that occurred in our game plan meeting this morning. The meeting was May 6th. You could check out the blog to see all of the stocks on the list here. And I will just scroll down. Obviously, Tesla earnings came out today, and they were actually pretty good. Exploded after hours, about $12 from where it was in the close. But we are going to focus on the stocks right here in the list. And again, every day you can go back and get the entire list for free in the morning. It's usually posted no later than 8 a.m. Look for the category on the blog of game plan meetings. That's where it's listed. Okay, so what we're going to get into, we're going to cover Spiders, Tasr, Bidu, Boeing, and Facebook, all of which were in the list today, so we can take a look and see where they were. Some of them are long, some of them are short. Very, very easy to figure out here. We had Facebook as a short here, as a core short, but it was called actually out in the meeting as a long on support. You'll see that. We also had Boeing as a sell short. We had Baidu as a sell short. And interestingly, we had Tasr as a stock to keep on the list based on the price action of what it did for the last few days, which made it really, really interesting. It was a stock that had an increase in volume, which you can see here, but what was significant was where the volume happened. So it was a 20-day breakout as well as 2 times normal volume. So Spiders, Tasr, Baidu, and Facebook. Okay, so I'm going to minimize. So starting out with the Spiders, very interesting. Clearly, we came into the day, we talked about how we're flip-flopping back and forth, and basically how that translates into trade expectation, or how you attack the day, is you are not sizing up and not being as aggressive with your positions. And what was interesting is this picture here is a much longer-term weekly trend. So you can see going all the way back to October of last year. This is really where it started to finally pick a side, has not crossed that trend line at all, and that's where we ended up with support today. And we actually traded through the support. You can see it here. Had one final push through on the 15-minute chart, and kind of found a bid right after that, which is not shocking because we really haven't had 2 well-offered days in a row, which is lower lows, lower highs on lower closes from the open in a while. So not shocking that we found a bid. We pushed through. Well, actually, we had a lot of hesitation. We had 45 minutes worth of indecision candles there right at the support level. One pushed down, but then immediately had an inside candle, and what we're going to end up calling is well bid, and we actually rallied into the close. But we were looking to sell short today. And the interesting thing here, which you're going to discuss with us a lot, change from the open was negative the entire day. We were looking for a sell short. We got it. We finally pushed through the 50, got down to that trend line. But this was probably the trade of the day. If you did not end up getting short here right out of the gate, which is kind of an aggressive trade, especially trading the Spiders, and with support over here, this trade here was probably the cleanest one on the board. You actually ended up, let me actually draw a 2-day trend line there. This here was the support level that you would have been looking for in the Spiders. And we clearly pushed through that right out of the gate and then get a little bit of indecision. But this push back up here, what time is this here? We're looking at roughly 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock right here. You end up getting a really clean topping tail there, looking for another push down, and you end up getting it for almost $1.50 to the downside. Depending on where you got out, you could have scaled out into this longer term support, but the key, again, the key is not the dollar amount as much as the setup coming into the day. You were looking to take out the previous day's low, and we had the longer term support. But flip-flop back and forth, so you had no reason to get aggressive and no reason to be adding to positions here. That's why we ended up scaling out of the position into that spot and not so much not getting caught here, but it doesn't really matter the fact that it bounced here. What matters is your trade expectation coming into the day. You had the longer-term levels, and this would have been an area where you would have expected indecision, and candles that open and close in the same spot, that is the very definition of indecision. So it's really about the trade management and knowing what you're going to do before it happens, not so much the dollar amount. That's really what I'm concerned with, is showing you how to manage those trades before it happens. Tasr was a really interesting one today. We actually had double normal volume of what it does. And we came into today saying, yes, Tasr is a long, but it's not a long today. And again, I'm going to beat this into the ground on trade management. 2-day highs and 2-day lows of stocks that close strong. You're looking for a test of that area the next day as a significant reference point to either look to sell short or as a breakout level. In this case here, we wouldn't have been talking about a sell short because of how strong the stock was. However, multiple days in a row on significant increase in volume. We basically said this morning it's a long but not a long coming into today, and that's really the point that you want to get across there. That's really what you want to learn is that many days in a row with a strong close. You look for the previous day's level as a support or resistance, and look at how clean that is. I mean, literally within cents, and gets crushed right out of the top. So really two things here. If you wanted to use something like that to set up a sell short, if it happened to be a downtrend, that would be the trade looking for a test of the 2-day high. But really, more importantly and more significantly, you are not looking to trade a breakout of the 2 days because of the recent price action as well as the double volume from what it normally does, which told us that the move higher was actually exhausting itself. So potential sell short if it was a downtrend, that's the trade. If it was not, and exactly the trade that it was, you are not trading the breakout. That is the key on the trade there. Next, we have Bidu coming into today out of the gate. Look a little bit longer term here. You can see why we were looking short and why we had that in the list. So clearly the first level to be paying attention to, again, is the previous day's low. And 15-minute candle breaks right through there, 192.75. Down to 189, so over $2 there just on a 15-minute breakout trading a longer term setup. About as textbook as it gets. Now, are you shorting these other moves? Yeah, absolutely are. Maybe not heading into lunch in this one, but definitely this one here. You get a really clean swing high, trading below the opening price the entire day. Everything you could possibly want in a trade. So even if you missed this first trade, which again, depending on how aggressive you want to be out of the gate, that's fine. This one, there's no excuse not to get. Absolutely none. And it was a good, clean $2 hour there right out of the gate. And next we have Boeing. Extremely similar chart. Clearly can see why. Now, this is actually pretty interesting here. This many days in a row, well offered and closed below the opens, met by a few days of indecision, and I hope you're starting to see what indecision looks like here. Ending up pausing here, forcing us to say we still like the stock short. It hasn't reached a capitulatory move yet, meaning where we expect it to bounce after this many days down. This consolidation kind of negated that and gave us another opportunity to game plan the stock short the last 2 days, and we got some really nice clean moves to the downside. And again, big move out of the gate. Here's what you need to learn as an active trader. If you miss a move like this, you still want to look short only, trading below the open, trading below the previous day. You start to look for a spot to get short, and you get a really nice rollover in the stock there. So again, the key is the setup coming into the day. You don't change your bias, and you stick with it looking for a spot to sell short, and you got a very clean one there. Facebook was an interesting one today. We actually game planned this. If you go back to the video, that this 77 level has been longer term support, and we were looking as an aggressive trade, considering how weak it's been, to bid into the 77 level. I'll give Lou full credit in the room today for calling that one out. And again, 2-day lows, 2-day highs. This is also the long-term support as well as the previous day support. Open here, push down, go right into that 77 level, and bidding into support, hold support, and bounces very, very cleanly off of that. Some might say it was an aggressive trade because of how weak it was to look for long there, but it's really not. It was actually set up very, very well from a risk perspective, longer term support perspective, and you get a really nice bounce. Because don't forget, prior to this last 5 or 6 days, this was actually a pretty good long. If you look at what's gone on for the last 2 months. So this is really a pullback in this longer term long, and just a couple of days to the downside doesn't equate to sell short order flow necessarily, and we actually, especially when you're coming into support. So we got a really clean spot to bid there, and look, the bottom line is it was a textbook setup. You just got to be prepared for it. That's the whole point of where the game plan comes in. You don't want to prepare your trades after the bell opens, and you don't want to go looking for stuff. If between 4 o'clock in the afternoon and 9:30 the next morning you can't find something, you're not going to find great trades after the market opens. That just means you're unprepared. So the point of these 5 stocks and starting out with the market is when you game plan, it's relatively easy to be relaxed when the market opens. It's just a question of setting up trades that first match your strategy, which means they have an edge, and then second, you can manage risk and find clean entries. And probably to me today, the Tasr was just an example, but the Bidu trade to the short side, Two very, very clean trades, and then the Boeing, same thing. But to me, the Baidu is the trade of the day out of the game plan meeting from today, specifically because of how well it consolidated here on this hammer, and then we got some really clean pushes to the downside. And as we use in our terminology, had room to go once it cleared this. Let's see, what's the exact level here? 202.20. Once it cleared that level, it set the pace for following through very, very cleanly, and we got it. So it's really not luck. It's being prepared, and hopefully we continue to do these types of trades every day.